Hello everybody, welcome to Snyder's Inc. And today we got a video from Chillin' Scares. And this one is The Missing Girl Who Never Existed. I'm actually very curious to see what this one is. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, hit subscribe button, comment what you think down below. Let's go.
Chicago, 1989, in Illinois. After working a late double shift, a man arrives at home, cooks himself a fast dinner, and settles down to eat it on his couch. He switches on his TV to the NBC network's WMAQ station. Before turning off its broadcast for the night, the station was just finishing off its late night segment, so the only things playing were several PSAs, a Michael Jordan advertisement, and finally a military version of the national anthem as its send-off, something that was very common back then. The man didn't mind that it was the sort of TV that nobody truly watched. He switched on the TV only to create some background noise to block out his racing thoughts, not to watch anything particularly interesting. He wouldn't even comprehend it for long, when suddenly an image of a young woman in grainy black and white with the phrase "missing" showed after the national anthem, accompanied by a slight static sound. Broadcasts of missing people weren't exactly uncommon.
Yeah, that'd be so random on... Give me a second. Sorry, had to kill something that was flying around my goddamn thing. Just pissed me off. Had to get it. But anyways, that'd be a weird picture to see. Like that picture. This picture's disturbing. It's very bizarre looking. Wouldn't sit well with me if I saw this picture followed by a missing person. Like that would be weird to me.
At the time, but this one was different. Joanna Lopez's name and a phone number was the only information that showed up on the screen. It was difficult to tell anything about the girl's looks from the picture itself, as the almost eerie photo didn't offer any real distinguishing features.
So bizarre, yeah, because it's a missing person and the picture is like literally the most unrecognizable picture you could find about the person. It is literally unrecognizable human being. I couldn't tell you a single thing about this person.
Up until the regular morning news, the image stayed on screen in almost perfect stillness. Left behind were many unanswered questions, like who was this girl, when did she disappear, or is she even a real person? This is the inexplicable case of Joanna Lopez, the missing girl who might not have ever existed. To begin, let's go back in time a bit. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Chicago was an odd and dangerous city with barred doors and broken windows. Another wave of violent crime had just reached its climax in the city. The windy metropolis had become a terrifying hunting ground due to gangs, murders, and kidnappings. The number of missing people increased as a result of this increase in general crime. However, this case was featured in a late-night television program. In addition to being uncommon to see such a slide on the local news, it was also presented in an uncanny manner, starting with the national anthem's final note, followed with a black screen depicting Joanna, and a slight static noise. The strangest element of it all was that the audience was provided very little to no information on Joanna. Typically, missing person slides would include the person's age, height, last known location, ethnicity, and the last time they had ever been seen. Joanna's slide didn't even hint at any of that. She was never mentioned or discovered again, and she eventually vanished into oblivion.
So yeah, it's so bizarre because it's a missing persons thing, but like you can't. They give you nothing to actually help find the person. They give you no information, no name, no nothing. It's just this bizarre picture they flash on the screen. So odd, because it wouldn't like they don't. It almost would be like they're like, hey, we'll put this up, but like we don't actually want you to find this girl.
At least until the second transmission, that is. In 1991, nearly the same thing happened 2 years later. As WMAQ aired its customary signing off message, a video of US Marines raising the flag to the Star-Spangled Banner was broadcast. Suddenly, there was an unexpected jump cut to the same terrifying picture of Joanna Lopez seen 2 years before. Again, it presented with a slight static sound. However, there were some observable differences.
It feels like they're not even like part of the broadcast. Like it's just being thrown in at a lot, like from somewhere else. But it's such a weird, so odd. It just doesn't sit well with me.
Differences this time. The image seems to have been slightly improved or cleaned up in the second transmission. Joanna appears to be wearing glasses, as we can clearly see. It looks like her glasses are reflecting a light source, but it's still very difficult to discern any distinguishing characteristics, and the image is still eerie. Again, there was no additional information given other than a name and a number. There was no mention of her height, age, the time since her last sighting, or any other information that would have been useful to viewers. All that was given was a black image and total stillness. This time, the image of Joanna was barely displayed for roughly 10 seconds before the broadcast turned off. So, what was the subject of these off-putting broadcasts? Were they a legitimate request for assistance made using the single image of Joanna Lopez that was made available? Or did they represent something more sinister? This is what we currently know. Keep in mind that both of Joanna Lopez's broadcasts took place before the widespread usage of personal computers and the internet. Thanks to websites like YouTube and Reddit, interest in this case has recently increased.
I mean, that's not shocking that there's someone who is, like, there are people who would hear about this and be like, okay, we need to figure out what's, they need to solve the case on what's going on here.
A user named LukeInspire sent a link to some old WMAQ video on the subreddit r/missingpersonsusa in October 2020. And after a post from member Chris Polygon in July 2021, the case got greater attention on the subreddit r/unsolvedmysteries. The only additional piece of information identifying the subject seen in the broadcasts, except the person's name, was the phone number, which was discovered by a user with the name Queen of Broken Hearts on the r/unsolvedmysteries thread. The number was reportedly noted as being used by the Chicago Police Department's Youth Division office and a local directory from 1979. Furthermore, this information lets us know that Joanna Lopez was seen as a young person, maybe under the age of 18, and certainly no older than 24 if the broadcast is a legitimate missing persons plea. It looks to be a genuine missing persons case because the phone number appears to be valid. The fact that the missing person poster's design matches that of other posters used at the time by the Chicago Police Department further confirms its credibility.
But then, this is the worst missing person thing displayed on a television channel I've ever seen. Because there's so little information and so little given that you couldn't find this, and you couldn't find this chick even if you wanted to, because you know nothing about her.
Locals have recalled seeing similar pleas with the same language and banner at the top, saying that the strangeness lies solely in the photograph. Also, there would typically be additional information and sometimes background music. Consider the circumstances around Trisha Kellett. In 1988, her picture was displayed at the conclusion of one of WMAQ's programming in a similar manner to Joanna. The only difference was there was a last seen date, which was 5/7/82, and a clear photo was utilized. Given that her appeal was broadcast 6 years after she vanished, it is possible that Joanna Lopez was abducted well in advance of 1989, making it much more difficult to locate her. Apart from the photo being used and the lack of identifying information, what makes the case of Joanna Lopez even stranger is the fact that nobody has ever been able to locate her on any missing persons database, or uncover any references to her outside of the TV broadcasts. Because of the lack of results from searches on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and the National Center for Missing and Unidentified Persons, some people have come to the conclusion that she was either discovered alive and well, that Joanna Lopez was not a real name, that she passed away, or that such a person never even existed. Although Trisha Kellett and other missing persons reappearances does much to disprove this theory, it's still possible that someone could have added the eerie image to an otherwise genuine looking appeal as a sort of dark-humored prank, or some kind of experiment. It's worth mentioning that there was a similar incident to the one involving Joanna Lopez in Mexico in 2001, and analogies between the two instances have frequently been made. A photograph of a lady allegedly going by the name Selena Delgado surfaced during a PSA on
Oh, Selena Delgado. Okay, yeah, I know this one. I know this one. Yep, I remember this one.
Canal 5, alerting viewers to missing individuals. The woman's features seemed to be manufactured or built artificially in a low-quality photograph. In fact, someone went as far as to allege in a YouTube video that Selena Delgado was not real, and that her visage was rather a composite of other people's features that was created to seem genuine and scare viewers. Daisy is Real 99, a Redditor, blogged about the instances on r/mystery, asserting that Canal 5 has a history of participating in ARGs and has included the Selena mystery, but has never explicitly admitted that they made the tale up. The billboard acknowledges that it would be weird to start it in 2001 and maintain it till today if it were an ARG or PR ploy though. This also applies to Joanna Lopez. Is she really a genuine person at all? It's quite doubtful that she's a character in an ARG. If not someone from the studio, perhaps a third party hacked the signal with the intention of frightening people. You're forgetting the Max Headroom incident if you don't believe that's probable or feasible. That happened in Chicago as well, and was in 1987, just 2 years before the debut of Joanna Lopez on television. To summarize, an unknown person who was dressed as Max Headroom was able to take over 2 local television stations and transmit an odd broadcast to thousands of people at home. Could the events with Joanna Lopez have been a similar thing? If so, then why was it very briefly shown after being shown for so long the first time? Unfortunately, I think there's a better theory. To the best of our knowledge, Joanna was an anonymous victim of the cruel street life in Chicago. In 1989 and 1991, the Chicago Police Department reported that there were around 24,000 and 25,000 missing juveniles in the metro.
Whew! 24,000 missing person cases? Jesus, Chicago! Y'all need to figure out where the hell you go.
Metropolitan region, respectively. The youth division may have taken a chance in the hope that somebody could identify her despite the low quality of the photo by using just a plausible name that may have been an alien.
My curious question though in that scenario, if there's 24,000 missing person cases in 1989, let's say, why specifically her? What makes her so special that that's the one you want to find? I'm not even saying it's a bad thing, I'm just genuinely curious. What makes her the one you want to find so badly?
Alias and a bad quality photo. Perhaps they made every effort to improve it for the 1991 showing, but it doesn't really explain why they would just display it for a few seconds as opposed to earlier. A few Reddit users said they were able to speak with the WMAQ network about the broadcast in an effort to get some clarification. The photo and identity were supplied to them anonymously, the station informed them. Some have speculated that she might not even exist due to this, and another user's post regarding an FOIA request for someone called Joanna Lopez returned no results. Reddit user Proud Evening Star revealed how they had spent the morning searching the Doe network for unidentified Jane Does in and around the Chicago region, and had only been able to uncover one instance from 1994. The Doe Network, International Center for Unidentified and Missing Persons, was the source of the link they provided, which included a picture of a black lady between the ages of 18 and 22, who had been discovered dead in May 1994. It says, "The victim was located in an alley behind 4837 South Chamberlain Avenue, in the circumstances of discovery section. When he picked her up near 63rd and Kimbark, the suspect, who had been charged with her murder, alleged that the victim was working as a female escort." There are some parallels when the picture of Joanna Lopez is placed over the creative depictions of the woman's face. However, the information is not specific enough for a conclusive result because of the source materials and general lack of knowledge. The hypothesis by a woman of the name Rachel Lopez may be more compelling. Despite having a different first name, Rachel Lopez, who attended West Chicago Community High School from 1988 to 1991, remarkably resembles Joanna Lopez. Additionally, the dates agree pretty well. So, if this is the same person, why would she be using a different name?
This could be a scenario where someone just got the name wrong. There's times when people can, if you don't know someone fully, you can think of one name, even though it's not even close, but you could think it's one name, not the other.
The most likely explanation for the case, then, is that the first allegation of Joanna Lopez being missing was only a joke. This would account for both the different names plus the lack of information in the initial broadcast. There is a notion that the second transmission might not have taken place at all. It's quite likely that the 1991 broadcast was just the 1989 show taped over due to the way these stations recorded their broadcasts on tape. When you consider how similar the footage is, this does make sense. All of this does provide a compelling argument, but it's another possibility to consider. Regarding any additional noteworthy details about the mystery, a few moderators from the r/Joanna Lopez subreddit made a post a little over 5 months ago now, claiming to have actually been able to get in touch with a woman named Joanna Lopez who ran away from home in Chicago in 1989. Her account seemed to match the known information pretty well.
I don't believe this. I don't believe in this. I think this is BS.
Although at first glance this appeared to be a promising lead, the moderators later stated that the person failed to call them back as promised with the additional information and then continued to ignore all of their messages, leading them to believe that either she wasn't actually Joanna, or that if she was, she did not wish to speak to them any further. And so we have reached yet another dead end. And that's essentially all we know about Joanna Lopez, the missing.
I would love to know information about this. I would love to have a conclusion about this. Because if there is a girl named Joanna Lopez who's involved in this story, I would just love to know what she thinks of the fact she's some like urban legend people are trying to figure out.
Girl who might not have ever existed. If you're hoping to go further down the rabbit hole, I urge you to visit the subreddits described in this video. Whatever Joanna Lopez's fate may have been, there may be a better possibility than ever for her to be located, and this entire mystery to be solved. However, this is all I have for now. Do you believe that Joanna Lopez ever existed? If so, what do you suppose happened to her? I'm genuinely curious to hear your opinions on it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I can comment what you think down below. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the next one.